Hey everyone. So first of all, I'd forgotten what it was like to follow Nick Molnar. I probably won't be doing that again. So I heard that he was calling his presentation the JavaScript Whopper, and I felt like I had to come up with something witty as well. And I think a good analogy is always helpful. So my presentation is called Finance Bluetooth. So I recently made my favorite purchase of the year. I needed a Bluetooth speaker in a hurry. Uh, the backstory is there was a lemonade stand I needed to set up, and you need music for your lemonade stand. If you've ever run one, you'll know it's actually critical. And so I was sent to get a Bluetooth speaker. So I walked into my local app store, and Apple store rather, and I went up to a customer service rep, and I just asked for a recommendation. I literally just needed to be in there and out of there very quickly because there were going to be some 7-year-olds looking for lemonade. So this customer service rep immediately starts raving about the UE boom. Not sure if any of you are familiar with the UE boom, but this is what the UE boom looks like. So she had purchased the UE boom, and she was like elated about her new gadget. She had taken it to Europe on a holiday. She'd taken it on the beach with her. Apparently, it's waterproof, and she was really delighted. It turns out you can connect, they say, over 50 of these UE boom speakers to each other and have them playing off of the same device. It comes in black and rainbow, and actually in a number of different colors as well. So it had really been quite some time since I'd seen somebody like as excited about a product. So I didn't ask any questions. I immediately paid for it. 90 seconds, I was out of the store with my rainbow-colored UE boom, and I was up and running. So sometimes when people hype products up, you never know like if it's gonna live up to the expectations. But I have to say I was not disappointed in the least. I mean, the product is an absolute pleasure to use, and of course I powered it up and connected it to my iPhone in a few seconds. And for those of you who haven't done this, let me just show you really quickly what that looks like. If you hear the cool sound. Like that. I think that sound meant I'm connected. Could be wrong. So there's a cool app that goes with this UE boom. It looks like this. Right. And so I'm going to do, looks like I am connected. So I'm going to play some music here. Yep. And I turned it off in my app as well. So I'm sure there are other great interoperability examples, but as I did this, as I put these two things together and had them magically working together and having it be so frictionless, the thing that occurred to me is that I immediately liked my iPhone better, and I liked this speaker better. I liked these two things better because they worked together, and the experience was truly delightful. And so that, of course, got me thinking about the financial industry, because that's usually what I'm thinking about right after I listen to Guns N' Roses. So, as an end user, I want to have this same delightful experience with all of the financial apps that I use, right? And I may use lots and lots of financial apps. And so what's an example of that? Well, I want to power up the trading app that I got, and I want it to say, would you like me to connect to your order management system? Yes, I would. I would love for you to connect to my order management system. Would you like to connect to CRM and trading analytics and research analytics? Of course I would. I want all of these things to work together. And I love what Dan said earlier, because it's, and Drew for that matter, it's just the reality of the space right now that much of the stuff that an end user uses actually does not work together, right? And that's a big problem. And so I've been thinking a lot about, in OpenFin, we've been thinking a lot about, well, how do you solve that problem? So it turns out that that this idea of getting things to work together is not a particularly new idea, right? I mean, this is it's been around, as Dan said. It's been in Bloomberg. It's been in Icon. It's been something that banks do on their own in a number of different ways. And so the issue isn't, hey, there's this great innovative idea. The question is, how do you actually enable this across the entire industry instead of within a single bank platform or within a single workstation? And I personally think the answer sits somewhere between my iPhone and the UE Boom. And I think Bluetooth is a great analogy for thinking about how we actually enable this for the industry. So if you think about Bluetooth as a standard, and think about what just happened when I connected my phone to this speaker, there are really 4 critical things that were there that actually enabled me to do anything in the first place, right? That enabled this stuff to work. First of all, Bluetooth itself is the connectivity, right? So that's the thing that enables the 2 devices to actually connect in the first place. But then there are 3 other things: identity, discovery, and standards that are also very important. So what's identity and discovery? Well, I don't know if those of you who are in the back can see it, or even in the front for that matter, but if you've got an iPhone, you go to your Bluetooth screen, and it shows you, hey, this is the device that wants to connect to your phone, and this is the name of that device. And so it's, you're discovering the availability of that device, and also it's got a name that you can connect to. Now, this is great. It's not, that's not particularly secure, right? The device can actually advertise its own name, so it can tell you it's one thing when in fact it's not. And also, as I connected 2 UE Booms to my phone, I realized they were both called UE Boom 2, and I had no idea which was which. And so there are those kinds of issues that need to be resolved as well. But the basic concepts of identity and discovery are there with something like Bluetooth, and it works. Then there's the question of standards, right? So how do different device manufacturers know to build things and have them talk with one another? Well, the answer is there is something called the Bluetooth SIG. SIG stands for Special Interest Group. And this is a body of folks who essentially develop standards in the specification for Bluetooth. And so as a very simple example, this is one of the things that's on page 36 of a specification I picked up. They've defined something called set absolute volume, right? And guess what that does? That sets the volume of the speaker in question. And so when I used my app to increase the volume of the speaker, it was using this method that had been defined and had been agreed by the SIG. And there's this other thing called event volume change that lets people know when something happened, and so they could react to it, right? So this is what the standards body has set, that is the infrastructure that actually enables all of the Bluetooth interoperability to work, right? So the critical point I think here is that interoperability is something that actually needs infrastructure, right? It's not just about going up and connecting app to app to app to app like that, and that's also important. That hard work needs to be done. The question is, what is the underlying infrastructure that's going to make that task easy for the entire industry, right? And so at OpenFin, we believe there are four things that are needed, and we'll be announcing an initiative in the next month or so to propose a path forward for the industry. And we're going to do this in collaboration with many of our partners and customers and others. And really the four things you can think of back to my Bluetooth slide is what are the analogs here, right? So you need the connectivity itself, right? So what is that connectivity? Well, it's an open source, free to use bus that's on the desktop, right? It lets everything connect to everything else in a really high performance, secure, and easy way, right? So that anything to anything else, to the question earlier, that could be a Java app, it could be a .NET app, it could be Excel, it could be an Electron app, OpenFin, Finsemble, or otherwise, right? Everything can connect to everything else. The second thing that's needed is an industry app registry, right? Why? Well, if you're going to connect to something else and share data, you need to know what that something else is. And so there needs to be really, really strong identity for the app that you're going to connect to. And so for that, you need something that is going to be an identity provider for applications that will enable this to happen safely. You need service discovery, and so this is, think of Bluetooth. How does something know? Like, how does the trading app know that, hey, there's a CRM available that it might want to connect to? There needs to be a mechanism for that. And then you need mechanisms for simple things. So what's a common thing that everybody wants to do? Well, if you are in the fixed income or the corporate bond market, something like context sharing, or equities for that matter, context sharing of, let's say, a CUSIP is important. What does that look like? Well, maybe you get an inquiry and it's on a specific CUSIP, and so now you've got to go through the 11 systems that you have that have information about that CUSIP and type that information into each of those systems. And what if, instead of that, the application in question could just broadcast out that context and all of the applications could read it and show you automatically all that relevant information, right? And Dan with Finsemble showed a great example of this as well, where you've got context sharing between applications, but there needs to be an agreed upon language to do this, and currently we don't have this language, and so we're kicking off an industry interoperability working group that is going to be focused on developing those kinds of standards, right? And so those standards will be open. The membership of these groups will also be open. And the goal and the way we're going to proceed with this is to have it be very business driven, right? So start with business use cases that matter, right? And start knocking them off. Don't try to boil the ocean or come up with a standard for every last thing under the sun, but really focus on what are the things that are happening on trading desks, sales desks, operations desks, the needless keystrokes, the stuff that crushes productivity, the stuff that hampers traders from using, and salespeople and others from using all of the intelligence that's available to them from the applications they've already purchased and that are frankly already running on their desktop. So if this is something that is interesting to you, we would love for you to reach out. We would love to have you participate in this working group. And please find me and others from OpenFin later, and we can give you more information about this initiative. And before I go, we got an extra UE boom that we're going to give away this evening. And so in order to be eligible to win the UE boom, and we've got it right backstage here, please do the following. Follow FinJS and FinJS.io and OpenFinTech. Then tweet something about interoperability, right? At FinJS, at OpenFinTech, hashtag FinTech Interop. I've given you an example of what that looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to take all of the tweets we get in order. We're going to use a random number generator to pick the winner, and we will announce the winner at 8:30, I guess, before drinks. Thank you very much.